Good thing it's a new year, amen? Some new things out there. So I'm glad you guys are here with us today. My name is Jeff. I'm one of the pastors here at Open Bible. New Year's really kind of about upgrading, making some changes, some life changes in our lives. I saw this post out on social media. I think it's probably appropriate for right now, so I'm a reminder that I need to look at this is what the gym looks like this week. Go to that next slide. There we go. That's what the gym looks like this week. That's probably all of us that need to be getting in there, crowding into there. It probably won't look like that 3 or 4 weeks from now, but that's the parking lot what it looks like now, right? So it's the new year. It's time to clean stuff and get organized. People are thinking about how can I be a better person, a better friend, a better student, a better coworker. How can I grow in my life? Maybe how can I grow spiritually? How can I get in better shape? We're all having different kinds of thoughts and conversations around that, moving into the new year, and I like that part of the new year. I like new beginnings and fresh starts, and that's why I'm excited to be kicking off this new sermon series with you called Making Gains. Making gains. How many want to make some gains? You want to gain some ground in 2020 that you didn't make any gains for in 2019. And when we talk about making gains, there's this term out there called "Do you even lift, bro?" Right? And many years ago, basically on a lot of different weightlifting forums, that they would start having these kind of disagreements about different things, about how you should build muscle and how you should work out, what you should eat to really be able to make some gains. And people would eventually respond by just asking the question, when someone would throw out something that kind of seemed outrageous. They'd say, "Hey man, do you even lift, bro? Like do you even do this? Like, do you even go to the gym? Do you even know what you're talking about? You're giving advice, and you know who you are. You show up at the gym, and really all you do is kind of take some selfies. You drink the protein shake. You go to the water fountain. You throw the towel over your shoulder, but you don't really do anything, right? You know who you are. Don't get quiet on me in here, right? So, you're there for the social hour, right? I got some pictures to kind of illustrate. This is the first one for us in here, right? These two guys, this guy and this gal, man, they're lifting, right? They're getting after it. They're throwing up some weight that's in there, right? And they're lifting some good stuff. And then there's these two. Yeah, they're just thinking about doing it, right? They got some selfies in there. They're thinking about what they would look like if they were lifting some weight like that, right? And here's this next one's in there. These guys are on the bikes. They're taking a spin class. They got their towels. They're sweating. They're cranky. Their teeth are clenched. I mean, they're really just kind of getting at it. And then there's this lady. Yeah, she's trying to look good in front of the exercise equipment right there, right? And then, how about these folks? These ones are kind of CrossFit training that's in there. They got the weights, they got the CrossFit. They're working out in all kinds of different ways. And then there's this next picture. This is my favorite one. Perfect makeup, hair, and outfit. Sure, you're here to work out, right? And listen, if all you're doing is posing like you're working out, but you're not actually working out, eventually someone's going to come up to you and go, "Hey, bro, do you even live? Like, why are you here? What are you here to do? Are you here to make some gains? Are you really trying to make some gains? Or are you just kind of posing?" I think it's a question that we can ask for ourselves in the church as well, too. Why are you here? You really want to make some gains? Because making gains is hard. And as believers, we need to work hard as being genuine followers of Jesus, because if we're honest, many of us are not faithful to what's necessary to succeed in the faith. We become lazy, fat, weak, spiritually obese Christians. We come to church, we dress the part, we don't want to put in the work to grow. We need to get off the pew and into the Word, and into the Bible. We need to become students again. And then we need to get out of the classroom, and we need to begin to apply what we've learned. To make disciples, to show and share the love of Jesus in real, tangible ways. To really do some heavy lifting, to go, and not to stay here. You and I need to be challenged to make some gains in our faith. Listen, if something doesn't challenge you, it is unlikely to change you. Say it again, if something doesn't challenge you, it's unlikely to change you. And so if we want to make gains personally this year, if we want to make gains spiritually, we need to be challenged in our lives. We need to be pushed just a little bit. And muscles are built when you break them down, and then they're built back up together, right? In fact, even though I don't like kind of working out in the gym that's there, there's a little board that I made for myself that I've been trying to focus on since the end of this year and beginning of this next year. I'll bring it up here on the streams. And the first one is just this: do hard things. Do hard things. It's my own personal reminder to me that, listen, as I get older, it's easier for me to kind of slide into doing the easy things, to doing the similar things, to do the things that I'm comfortable with, to do the same old things, to just kind of show up and just get by, slide by. But if it doesn't challenge me, it's not going to change me. And I want to keep growing. I don't know about you. I want to keep learning. I want to keep stretching. And so to do that, I've got to do some hard things. I got to put some more weight on the barbell. You hear me? Second one is just this, just finish. I want to be the kind of person that finishes what I start. I want to finish well. Listen, in my life and in my journey, I didn't start off well. And I may not have started off well, you may not have started off well, but listen, I want to finish well. And so I've been reminding myself every day. Do hard things, finish. Do hard things, finish. Do some hard things today. And making gains is a challenge. It's difficult. It's not easy for us in our lives. And a lot of times we set out to make changes, and we don't make those changes. We think to ourselves, it's just kind of a breakdown of willpower. Certainly willpower studies show that we have a limited amount of that in our lives. And it can begin to break down, and you start feeling hopeless, and you start to kind of feel stuck, and you start to feel like there's no way you're going to actually change. And so as we go through this series over this next couple of weeks, not only willpower is something that we want to have more of, but even more than that, I want us to talk about how we can have God power. And how God's power can work in our lives. And so there's some other pieces to the puzzle to help us to be able to make that change that we're going to look at throughout this series. Let's bring this puzzle piece up on the screen. It's in there. See in the far corner it says want power, right? See that? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And really want power is actually to want what God wants for you in your life. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes, I don't desire what God wants for me in my life. If I'm honest. I know you guys are saints, and none of you guys ever feel that way. It's in there, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want to do that, God. And so I need to want power. I need to have the desire to change the way that God wants me to change. And some of us, we just don't want to change. You know what I'm talking about? Can't get a single amen in here this morning. Yes, you do. You know what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about it. Well, sometimes we just need to pray that God will give us the want power to make the changes that we really need to make in our lives. And then we need friend power. During this series, we're going to talk about friend power and how that can be a huge influence in our life. We're going to talk about habit power. And listen to some of the biggest changes that will come in my life and in your life will come about because we make the smallest of changes. We make some and create some small habits in our lives. And if we're willing to embrace some small habits and make some small changes in our lives, eventually it can have a huge impact. And so we'll talk about habit power. Then we're going to talk about grit power, kind of the tenacity to see it through to the end, to persevere, to discover what it takes to finish well. And I want to encourage you, if there's any area of your life that you want to see some change, if you sense that God's been calling you to deal with something, make a commitment to be here the next few weeks and let God speak to you, because in this next series, it's really all about making personal and spiritual gains and how we can do that in our lives. So to be able to do that, I need my sword. I left it down there. We're going to be in Romans chapter number 12. Romans 12. Thank you. So turn to that in the New Testament. Romans chapter number 12. We're going to be looking at Romans 12 all throughout this series. We're going to have it up on the screens as well as I read it out loud. When it comes to the red word, you read along with me. Romans chapter number 12, beginning at verse number 1. You have that? Amen. All right, it says this. So, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all He has done. All that He has done for you. So we're to offer ourselves to God. Give our bodies implies to give our heart, to give our soul, to kind of all that we are, all that we think, all that we do, to give that over to God because of all that He's done for us, all He's done for you. It's kind of like in view of God's great mercy and grace towards you and me that we respond to Him this way. And it says this, it says, let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind that He will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship Him. And this is a powerful way to start the new year. You know, sacrifice in the ancient world was something where you take something and you brought it to the altar, right? And it was something that was dead. They would kill it, the blood would be spilled, and they would place it on the altar as a sacrifice. But it's interesting, the Bible says that we're to present our bodies, our whole selves, to God as a holy and living sacrifice. So it means for us to be holy, to be set apart, to set our lives apart for God. But we're a little bit different type of sacrifice. Because why? Because we're still alive, right? Here's what I know about things that are alive. They can move, right? They can get on and they can get off the altar. Come on, somebody. You can surrender to God, last week and then last month and last year, but you still need to get up there again today and go, God, I surrender my life to you today. Today, right now, in this moment, God, I'm going to turn myself, I'm going to offer myself over to you. I surrender to you because you're a living sacrifice, which implies that, we can move around, we can get on and we can get off that thing. It's not some one-time thing that we need to look over and do. So you want to stay in this place of saying to God, we offer all of our heart to you. We want to start with God. I don't know about how your holidays have been. I hope they went great. We had a great Christmas and Christmas Eve. Kind of after Christmas, kind of going into New Year's week that's in there. I just was in a little bit of a funk. I told Frida, it was just one day, I don't know what happened to me. I had this profound sadness come over me. I don't know why it was there. Nothing had happened to me. I didn't experience any trauma. No new information came into my world. But that day I just woke up and there was this profound sadness come over me. I was discouraged. I was sort of depressed. And I was just frustrated about a lot of things. And then I began to pray and think about this. And I realized what was happening. I was thinking back over 2019. Everybody's talking about the new year and all this new stuff. And I was thinking and meditating and thinking about all these things. I was beginning to find myself focusing on the things that I lost in 2019. Just focusing on some of the disappointments. I had a few of those in 2019. I don't know about you, but I definitely did. I had some things that I hoped that I would do that I ultimately didn't get done. I had things that I thought would turn out a certain way that didn't turn out that way for me. They didn't really turn out the way that I hoped and dreamed about. There were parts of my life that I didn't think were going to be as hard as they were last year, but man, they were extremely hard. And one thing about life, you can't see it coming, right? So you look in the rear view mirror of life, and you're really like, man, that's not the way I thought that was going to play out. And I just found myself focusing on my hurt and focusing on my failures, focusing on my disappointments, and last year, just kind of led to this downward spiral. I was on that one day where I had this profound sadness that was in my life, and I had to stop and remind myself that I need to change the direction of my reflection. And if you want to have a great year this next year, and you want to make some gains in your life, you're going to need to change the direction of your reflection. You need to change the direction of your reflection. Go to that next slide here, way back to there. Go back.
I know, I hit the wrong button.
Back. Go back. There you go. Thank you. Okay, so what I mean by that is you need to stop and say, hey, I need to make some, to make some gains, I need to focus not on my pains, I need to not focus on my frustrations of last year, I need to begin to really focus on how God showed up and moved and really worked in my life last year. I need to change the way I'm thinking and what I'm focusing on. And am I going to focus on those things that discourage me? Am I going to focus on those that left me, or am I going to focus on those that stayed? Am I going to focus on those that betrayed me, or am I going to focus on those who showed up and surprised me with their kindness, right? Like, am I going to focus on the losses, or am I going to focus on what God has done? And I just kind of sat there and I realized, Jeff, man, you got to change the direction of your reflection on what you're focusing on. And if you start with your disappointments, you're going to end with disappointment.
Come on now.
You're going to be disappointed. So listen, if you start with God and you end with God, you're going to find out you're going to end with gratitude, because you're going to remember all the things that He has done for you in your life.
Come on.
And so as we go into 2020, into this new year, I want to start off well. I want you to start off well. So you might have had some disappointments. You might have had some frustrations last year. Things that may have been hard for you last year. And so I just would ask you these questions. Was God with you even through all those things?
Yes.
Was God faithful to you even through it all when nobody else showed up? Was God still there? Did you see God through it even though you couldn't see how it was going to work out? Did you see God? Did God walk with you when others turned their back on you? Was God there for you? And if He was there for you then, right? We sang the song just a little bit over again. He'll do it again. If God was a way maker, if he was a miracle worker, if He was a promise keeper, if He was light in the darkness, as the song says, right? If He did all that for you before, if you read all about what He did for others in the Word, if you heard testimonies of what other people God did in their lives, if He did it for them, He can do it for you. Remember all that he has done. Change the direction of your reflection. Now prepare for you to go into the next year with the right attitude. And that's what I've been trying to do in my life. It's beginning to make a difference. I'm not there yet all the way. Pray for me. It's beginning to make a difference. And so here's some additional thoughts to make some spiritual gains this next year. Next is we need to pray for want power. Pray for want power. Pray for the desire to actually want to change, right? As I said earlier, sometimes, listen, I don't want to change my life, if I'm honest. We think to ourselves a lot of times, listen, I can't change. You know, it's just kind of, I got to break down. I'm not a disciplined person. There's going to be a breakdown in my discipline. And certainly, you know, there's something to having discipline and the breakdown of discipline. But part of that, before we even break down our discipline, it's our desire to do it, right? I mean, it kind of gets hard, it kind of gets difficult, and our desire begins to kind of wane. You know, it starts to lose its kind of effect in our lives. And when it comes down to desire, the good news is it will present our bodies as a living sacrifice, a holy sacrifice to God. If we make him number one in our lives, if we put him on the pedestal of our life, then what we'll do is we'll put ourselves in a position where God can change the desires of our heart. We just have to be honest with God. But God, listen, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. There's some times you haven't been feeling it. Just me and Francis. The rest of y'all all the way from him. Right? The Bible says, listen, if we'll do that, he'll not only give us the power to change, he'll give us the desire to change. And if we surrender to him and follow him, there's a lot of things that we can put on the pedestal of our lives. I got a pedestal up here, and when we look at the pedestal, right, the pedestal kind of like this promise that it makes to many of us in our lives. And basically it's this, it's whatever the number one thing that we put on the pedestal in our life, the number one thing that we lift up in our life, the promise is, give me everything that you have and I'll give you everything that you want. Give me everything that you have and I'll give you everything that you want. If you make me number one, I'll be there for you. So people put all kinds of different things on the top of their pedestal in their lives, right? And it's amazing what you'll see. I got up here right now. Oh yeah. I got Barbie and Batman for you here this morning. Barbie and Batman. I don't know if I can get them to stay up here or not. If I get Batman to stay up here first. Barbie, she's all dressed up. Batman, he's all ripped, looking good. It worked earlier when I practiced it. There you go. Barbie and Batman on the pedestal of our lives. Listen, if we focus in on just our outward appearance, if we focus in on just being beautiful and attractive, you know, hey, that's a great thing. You know, you want to take care of yourself, and that's all good, right? But if it becomes the primary thing in our lives, right? The thing that drives you, the thing that, you know, you go to the gym every single day, you're going to work out probably twice a day. You monitor every little thing that you put in your life and in your mouth, right? You're going to watch out all the food, all your intake. You know, maybe you have a few reoccurring appointments to the plastic surgeon's office. You do all kinds of things to kind of take care of yourself. And if beauty becomes this promise, right, on the pedestal, it says that, you know, give me all that you are, I'll give you all that I want. But the problem with that is that you're going to find yourself frustrated with that after a while. Because eventually, you know, you're going to get some gray hairs. They're going to start kind of coming in. And maybe you'll get some dye, you'll get some color, and you'll color those things. But then the wrinkles will start showing up. And this is where your heart is primarily, you know, if this is what's going to be happening in your life, you're going to find yourself disappointed. You're going to find yourself frustrated if you make that the number one thing in your life. And sometimes we don't make that the number one thing in our life. A lot of times we don't look over there. All right, Barbie, Batman, y'all got to go. We put money, the dollars, the moolah cashula, right? The cold hard cash. Those people, we put money and success as the number one thing on our pedestal. And, you know, just think to ourselves, I can just make a little bit more. I have a little bit more. I can get a little bit more. A little bit more money. Listen, money is a wonderful tool, but it is a horrible God. It's a wonderful tool, but it's a horrible God. And if you begin to run after money as the number one thing in your life, it'll begin to ruin your life. You get to the end of your life and you've earned a lot of money, you've done and you got yourself a lot of things, you've accumulated a lot of stuff, but if you don't have anyone around you who loves you and that you love, if you don't have any family and friends around you to celebrate that, then you've missed out most of what life is really all about. Money. Great tool. Horrible God. Then a lot of times for a lot of us, well, You look over there, just a week, right? I ain't got no Xboxes or PlayStation. I go back a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Back a little bit. Weeds, man, and you get the hobbies, you got your games, you know. And I love games, board games, card games. I love playing games. I love hobbies. I've got hobbies. Hobbies are really kind of great things, right? But again, if you make that the number one thing in your life, if you have any gamers are out there, all right, we got some gamers, right? If you make that the number one thing in your life, listen, it's going to demand everything from you, and it's going to take away from other areas of your life that you really need to be focusing on. It's going to make a lot of promises to you that it's not going to deliver on. The only one that can deliver on the promises that we need in our lives is God. We got to make a decision to make God the number one thing in our lives. To put Jesus first and foremost on the pedestal of our life. To lift him up among all things. The only one that can deliver on all of his promises, ultimately, without fail, is God. And if you give all that you are to God, he can give you everything that you really want. And what I mean by that is that he can actually begin to change your desires. He can change your wants. He can change your heart. He can change you into the kind of person that he desires you to be, and he can fulfill your desires as well. You got to put him number one on the pedestal, and you keep him in that number one spot. Look at what Philippians chapter number 2, beginning verse number 12 says. It says, "Dear friends, you always followed my instructions when I was with you, and now that I am away, it is even more important to what? To work hard to show the results of your salvation." So listen, we receive salvation. It's a gift. It's not something that we earn on our own merits. It's a gift of God. He gives that to us. Our best works are like filthy rags in God's sight. But notice the Bible is saying we still have to work to show the results of that. That's on you. That's on me. That's on us. That's the stuff that we got to do. Obeying God with deep reverence and fear. But look at this. We're not the only ones who work. Look at this. It says, "For God is working in you, giving you what? Desire and the power to do what pleases him." So we're working and God is working, and we're working together. It's in here. And I love that verse because it tells you that God can give you the desire and the power to please him even when you don't feel like it. And that's just a simple prayer that we can pray just this week. We can say, "God, help me to want what you want for me in my life. God, help me. Help me align my desires with your desires. God, give me the desire to be the person that you want me to be." And sometimes we don't have that desire in us, right? But we need to acknowledge it. We don't have it, and then we need to acknowledge that we need it, and then we need to ask for it. Just with a simple prayer. Change the direction of your reflection. Pray for one power in your life, whatever you feel like you need to change in your life. Here's the last thought for us, and we'll be done. That's just simply this. Start small. Start small. I don't know if there's any fans that are out there of Mark Wahlberg, right? Mark Wahlberg is kind of like this famous actor. He's got a lot of movies that are out there. And you know, he did some music too. He was Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, for those of you who go way back to Mark. You probably don't know him from back then. Probably just the actor part of it, right? But he's this ripped actor guy. He's always working out. And he posted on social media his schedule that he uses to kind of stay in shape. It's just crazy, so I thought I'd share that with you. This is a typical Mark Wahlberg day that's in there, right? 2:30 a.m. he looks over there and he wakes up, and I'm like, really, man, 2:30 a.m. it's in there. 2:45, this guy's having prayer time. It's right there. Man, this guy's a devout guy, that's right. And I'm thinking to myself, man, that's just not right. 2:30 in the morning, 2:45, your prayer time. He's committed, right? So it's probably important to him. And then, 3:15 breakfast. 3:40 to 5:15, he's breaking out his first workout that's in there, right? 5:30, he's got a post-workout meal. I'm not even awake yet, and this brother is showering, right? He's already gotten up, it's in there. He goes to golf, and he goes to snack time that's in there. I'm not really sure what's going on between the 7:30 a.m. and the 8 a.m. golf. I don't know if that's virtual golf or what that's really all about. Go to the next slide, right? And then, he's got the cryo chamber recovery, got another snack time, family time, meeting, work calls, lunch. Meetings and work calls, picks up the kids from school, another snack time. Workout number 2. Workout number 2, you slackers. You haven't even got out of work. You're not even thinking about working out yet. He looks over there and done that, and he looks over and shower and bedtime and all the stuff that's in there. And man, I look at all that, and it's just crazy to me, right? And I think to that, and I look at that and I go, man, that doesn't inspire me at all. Does it inspire you? I mean, some of you are like, well, maybe if he does all that, I'd go for a walk or something. I don't know. It doesn't do that for me, right? I mean, I look at that and I think to myself, you are a loser. And I look at that and I think to myself, man, if that's what it takes to stay in shape, I'm okay with not being in shape, right? Like, I could do without that in my life, and I feel overwhelmed by reading all that. I'm just trying to live a normal life. And so here's the thing. I think that schedule for Mark Wahlberg, if you read the article that's in there, you know, it took a lot of years for him to build up to that, decades in his life. It's kind of close to his finish line. That's a schedule that he's perfected over a long time, and it worked for him. And what you don't want to do is you never want to compare your starting point to somebody else's finish line.
Come on there.
Come on, you don't want to compare your starting point to somebody else's finish line. Okay, it's good for Mark, he gets up to 2 a.m. All right, brother, get your prayer on. You know, but listen, you got to take your starting place and don't compare it to that other person's finish line that's in there. Sometimes you get discouraged, you know, if that's where you try to start off with, where somebody's already been at for years and years and years. So you start small. When you think about changes in your life, the biggest change always is from the smallest adjustments that we make. So over this next year, maybe you think about, maybe, you know, hey, haven't been to Bible study. Maybe we can start, you know, going to Bible study. We've got one Sunday morning. We've got one on Wednesday nights. Or maybe you're not serving anywhere in the church. You come to worship service, that's great. We're glad that you're here and you worship the Lord. But man, maybe you need to start serving. You know, maybe you're a greeter. Maybe you start to teach. Or maybe you help out in the worship team. Maybe you have some musical gifts. I don't know what it is. But you begin to use your gifts, use your time, your energy and talents to look over there and to serve other people. You know, maybe you start building your sense of community, and you join one of our journey groups, one of our small groups to help you to get connected to other people. You take some small steps, right? And you can add one. You don't have to do all those at once. Maybe you just add one now, maybe 1 6 months from now, whatever. You take some small things, right? And listen, I want to encourage you, start small. Bring it down to little bitty things that you can look over there and do. You don't have to do these big, huge, lofty things. It's better to win small than to lose big, right? And it's John McCook who wrote this whole book about how we finish stuff in our lives. And basically, he surveyed a lot of people. He's got a lot of information, a lot of data. And one of the kind of the rules of thumb he's come up with kind of into the book to a lot of people when it comes to their goals and how they benefit those things and how they accomplish them is simply this. He says, whatever your goal is, either half the goal or double the time, and you're going to be in a better chance of success in it, right? So in other words, he's saying start with a smaller goal. So if I'm going to lose 20 pounds, you know, in 4 months, you know, maybe I just need to lose 10 pounds in 2 months, right? If you want to make some smaller wins, you know, you position yourself like that so you can feel like you have little small victories along the way. Don't compare yourself to where other people are at. Comparisons are kind of a joy killer, right? So you don't start comparing your starting point to someone else's finish line. Let's look back at Romans 12:2. It's in here. It says this again. It says, don't copy the behavior and the customs of this world. You see that? You don't need to copy what everybody else is looking over doing. But let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. And listen, God is in the transformation business, and he does it by changing the way that you think. That's the first way that he transforms us. And this word transformation is a fascinating word. Some of you remember the old Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Remember the Power Rangers? Just date yourself a little bit that's in there. Who remembers those guys? It's just those animated characters, and all of a sudden they had this moment where they would kind of get in trouble, and they needed to call on some superpowers, and their rallying cry would always say, what would they say? It's morphin' time, right? And when it was morphin' time, all of a sudden they changed into these amazing new characters, right? And they'd be able to tackle all the problems that face them. And what's fascinating about this word morph, the root of it comes from the Greek and word transform. Transform. It comes from this word morph. And what he's saying is, look, God wants to morph you. It's morphing time. He morphs you by changing how you think, and he changes how you think as you expose yourself to who he is and to what he said in your life. And then he says this, he says, then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect, right? So let God transform the way you think. And listen, in my life, I'm going to try to do those in 3 ways. I'm going to give you 3 practical ways to be able to do that every day. Just kind of try to wake up and remember to do 3 things. Simply this, what? I want to remember what God has done. We talked about that already, right? Like it's been part of my new commitment. I'm just going to wake up. It doesn't have to be a real big thing. It's going to be the start of my day. I'm not going to start my day with my disappointments. I'm going to start my day with who God has who God is, what God has done in my life, and that begins to lead me to a place of gratitude. I'm going to remember what God has done. Second thing I'm going to do is this: I'm going to remember what God has said. Remember what He said. And so I'm just going to read from my Bible. Maybe use a daily devotional that's there. We've got some of them out by the Welcome Center. You can use a Bible app. It's got all kinds of reading plans on there. They're free. You can just look over there and download those things. But if you do just a small amount, it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be an all-day thing. If you do a small amount, do that consistently, right? Over a period of time, you're going to be able to hide God's Word in your heart and remember what God has said. So even if it's just a little bit every day, I'm going to remember what God has said. And then lastly, I'm going to remember to yield. I'm going to remember to yield when God leads me. Yield to what He says. Yield to the leading of His Holy Spirit. The other day I came up to a four-way stop sign and I stopped, and then, and there was another guy that was in there, and we kind of did the same thing that was there. You look over there and you kind of stuck there at the same moment. He wasn't to the right, he's kind of off of me, and I was going to turn left and go there. And I was like, yeah, you go ahead. He's like, no, you go ahead. I'm like, no, you go ahead. I'm like, no, I'll go ahead. We was back and forth, and finally, okay, we both kind of start. Then we're out in the middle, and we both have to hit the brakes. And I'm like, okay, we start all over again. No, you go ahead. No, I'll go ahead. And I'm like, listen, have you ever done that, right? But it's like, man, one of us got to go. We're going to get killed out here, right? I was thinking about this because when it comes to yielding to God, that's sometimes how I yield. I come to an intersection between what I want and what God wants, and I love to tell you that every single time I always go, yeah, go ahead on, God. A lot of times I find myself stuck out in the middle. I got myself ahead of God, and I haven't yielded to Him in my life. Sort of yielding in some way. Like, you go ahead, God. No, you go. So I've just been thinking about this word yield and how powerful it is for growth in our life. Look, if it doesn't challenge you, it's unlikely to change you. And you and I need to learn how to yield to God. So when I come to some challenging decisions in my life and intersections where there's what I want, there's clarity about what God wants, again and again, I just want to yield. Not one time, not two times, but every single time in my life. I look back over my life, every single time that I yielded to God, I never regretted it. Every single regret in my life has always been when I never yielded to God and I yielded to my own desires. Maybe there's somebody in your life that you need to forgive. You've been carrying around some hurt, some bitterness, and you need to admit to yourself, you've kind of fallen in love with your hurt and your bitterness, and you need to yield to that place that God is leading you to just forgive. Let go and forgive. If you yield, that's how you're going to make some gains. And if you challenge yourself and you change, and you're going to make some gains. It's in there. Maybe you come to your life and God's been calling you to trust Him with some finances and to give a portion back unto Him. And you think to yourself, I need to yield in that way. You think maybe, well, I don't have enough, God. I can't yield. I got to yield to the utility company. I got to yield to the mortgage company. I got to yield to Comcast or Xfinity or whoever else you got bills from that's in there. And He's challenging you today to trust Him and yield Him in this way. Maybe you need to be a little bit more generous in your life. And maybe somebody's calling you to help somebody to do some work. Maybe He's calling you to go on missions. I don't know what He's been calling you on. He's knocking on the door of your heart. He's wanting you to yield. Take some simple steps. We're taking our Christian life and service seminar class is going to be starting on the 26th. I know your bulletin says the 29th. We made a typo. I apologize for that. But it's the 26th. Maybe some of you have not joined in on those classes. You can grow in your faith and just yield. You know that you need to grow. You know you need to do something. You haven't done something. Here's an opportunity for you to do this thing right now. So maybe it's not the big challenges. It's in the little challenges in there. So change the direction of your reflection, right? And then ask God to change the desires and the wants in your heart. And then remember the things that God has done. Take some small steps. Look over there and yield to Him in your life. Friends, I don't know.
you.